Good evening. Welcome to yet another edition of the Evening Review. I am Jemima Beekers, your host for today. Now, SADC, the Southern African Development Community, is hosting the 25th Ordinary Meeting of the Ministerial Committee of the Organ on Politics, Defense and Security in Namibia. We have in studio Ambassador Jerobeam, Shaanika. He will talk to us about this ongoing meeting and also about Namibia's multilateral affairs. Thank you for joining us, Ambassador.
Thank you, Jemima, and thank you to the viewer.
So, Ambassador, can you please give us an overview about this meeting and what is on the table and on the agenda?
No, thank you very much, Jemima. What is happening now is the 25th ordinary session of the Ministerial Committee of the organ that is provided for under the Protocol on Politics, Defense and Security Cooperation. Yeah. Under Article 5, you will find it made provision for the Ministerial Committee of the organ that is supposed to coordinate the structures and the activity of the organ under the supervision of the chair of the organ, who is usually a head of state or a head of government of the country that is chairing the organ. And the Minister of International Relations, who of the country that is chairing the organ, is the chair of the Ministerial Committee of the organ. Now, the Ministerial Committee of the organ is composed of the Ministers of Foreign Affairs or International Relations, Ministers of Defense, Ministers of Home Affairs, and Ministers of State Security. So those are the ministers that composed the Ministerial Committee of the organ. Now, they look into the issue in terms of security in the region, in terms of strengthening democracy, and or any other issue whereby it's likely to put the security or the people of the region at risk, including a response to natural disasters. So those are the issues that the committee of the Ministerial Committee seized with as provided for by the Protocol on Politics, Defense and Security Cooperation. Now, this meeting, as I say, is an ordinary. It is deal with a number of items. One of item is the right of implementation of decision that emanated from the Ministerial Committee, the past Ministerial Committee, as well as the organ. How have they been implemented? Then there is also a situation, political situation in the region that include the strengthening of democracy in the region. Then there are also items related to human trafficking. There is also the issue of Univisa that was envisaged, as well as also the issues related to any other items such as the candidatures for those who wish to seek endorsement of the region for various international bodies. And of course, as you know, this Ministerial Committee, as estimates, there is a new director of the organ. It was also, there's also an item to congratulate him for his elections, on his appointment as a director of the organ, and any other issue that might come up. And of course, there is also an issue related to DRC, and those are some of the issues that we expect to be covered by the
Ambassador, can you just tell us about the progress on, like you've just mentioned, Mozambique now? We know there's increasing violence and conflict in Eastern DRC and Mozambique. It was also mentioned by the chair, Honorable Netumbo Nandi-Ndaitwah, this morning. Do you think this organ is effective? If one is to think that especially the DRC situation has been coming for quite some time now, and even Mozambique, it is dragging on for a while now.
Well, effectiveness, it is dependent on how you describe it. There are many conflicts in the worldwide that have not yet been resolved, but it doesn't mean that we expect the situation to be handled and tackled the day that it comes up, then tomorrow is no longer there. How long did our conflict in Namibia took? It took longer. But it doesn't mean that you should sit and wait, allow things to resolve themselves. The mere fact that the SADC organ is seized with the matter is effort that is being made. And those efforts will culminate into something else.
Ambassador, I just want to come in there. Yes, SADC has been seized for the matter for quite some time. However, it has gotten to a point where they have to, the Honorable Netumbo Nandi-Ndaitwah this morning announced that SADC is going to deploy from September onwards a standby force. So
yes, those are efforts. You see,
So does it mean that what is currently there, Samim, and all of that?
I just want to make things clear. I think the objective is not the deployment. The ultimate objective is a sustainable peace. Now, when there is something that is standing between sustainable peace and the attainment of sustainable peace, yes, that is when then you will go and employ the method that will be able to take you that road of sustainable peace.
So what is standing in the sustainable, in the path of sustainable
peace? The situation that you have described. We know the situation is of great concern to SADC. And then that's why SADC is saying, perhaps we deploy a brigade that is within the concept of standby force.
Yes.
So that, as you know, that the Democratic Republic of the Congo is due or is scheduled to hold election, yes, toward the end of the year, to be precise, on the 20th of December, 2023. Yes. Now, those conditions need to be in such a way to allow the people of the Democratic Republic of Congo to be afforded opportunity to freely elect their representative. Now, can they do it with the present condition?
So is it correct to understand that the efforts that have been deployed before this new brigade now is not sufficient to keep that sustainable peace?
I mean,
and that you anticipate that it will get worse?
Yes, the reality of the situation is that the situation is of great concern. Hence, you have seen that the East African community have also deployed. So, meaning that there is a concern about the security. The SADC had deployed a force intervention brigade, but which of course succeeded in degrading the M23. It's not a secret.
Yes.
But then it was embedded within MONUSCO. And when it get embedded into MONUSCO, then it had to adapt or follow the rules of engagement that are established by MONUSCO. And then there were some difficulties in their operations. Hence, the decision of the 42nd summit that took place last year in Kinshasa, the Democratic Republic of Congo, was to mandate or direct the chair of the ministerial committee of the organ to engage the Secretary General of the United Nations on the margin of the summit in September to discuss those issues that are affecting the FIB. And the issue was discussed, and the United Nations Secretary General responded. However, there were still some outstanding issues. And hence, when the SADC organ Troika plus SADC Troika plus the FIB plus SAMIM met on the 8th of May, they again mandated the chair of the ministerial committee of the organ to again engage the United Nations Secretary General on those outstanding issues. And the chair of the ministerial committee undertook a trip to New York, and that meeting took place on the 29th of June, 2023. I was part of that delegation.
Okay. Ambassador, before we go on a break, can we just quickly, since this standby force brigade has been put in DRC now, we also have elections in neighboring Zimbabwe next month, and you also know that is in the past, even there's been a volatile situation's been there for some time now. So what is the organ doing to address that as we prepare for that election?
I think we have to understand one thing. Before any election is taking place, there is a mission that is taken by the SADC Electoral Advisory Council, SIAC. They establish condition and they report back on the condition and the preparedness and the readiness of that country to hold elections. That report has been submitted, and Zimbabwe is found to be prepared and ready to hold elections. Now, if there are measures to be undertaken, the recommendation will be made. So you cannot just say, okay, now this country is holding election, so we are going to deploy troops. For what? There must be a purpose.
But I mean, it's the same situation in DRC, ongoing conflict for years, decades now. Zimbabwe the same, ongoing conflict.
No, please. We know the situation of DRC, and we know the situation of
it's
Zimbabwe.
Not entirely the same.
They are not the same.
But conflict is the common.
You can have disagreement, but disagreement is not the same as the conflict. The conflict of DRC, there are multi-actors that are in the DRC. Some are rebels, some are people who are taking chances, some are possibly their neighbors who are also trying to stir up troubles. So it's not the same. So, and I go back again. Before the election, first of all, the country that is holding election will inform SADC Secretariat. And the team of SIAC will be sent to the country to oversee and investigate the situation on the ground and report back. I mean, there is a country which is holding election this year, I don't want to mention it, which is found not ready to in terms of the SADC guidelines.
So now, when is the feedback on Zimbabwe going to come? I mean, election is now in what, a few weeks?
I am telling you, the report has been submitted and is being considered. Yes.
Okay.
And
when would it be made public?
Public by the summit, or I'm sure
by the summit will be.
I'm sure they will be able to say it.
Okay, so let's quickly go for a break. Ambassador. We'll be back soon.
Neopaints has established a 67-year Namibian legacy, creating personalized paint solutions that blend quality and innovation for the Namibian people. We pride ourselves in being a 100% Namibian-owned company, investing in our country and our people by employing and empowering true Namibians. With every brushstroke, Neopaints commits to our quality guarantee and always delivering a coat of excellence. At Neopaints, we always stay true to our country. We are as Namibian as you.
We are so excited to be kickstarting your morning with entertainment. Everything was happening during this past weekend.
Yes.
Exciting news.
Wow, no, she was killing it already.
In my opinion, I don't see anything wrong with him serving the full term.
As well as keeping you informed on the issues that you need to know happening in and around our country.
Welcome to My.NA Cars, your ultimate destination for everything automotive.
I am your host, Diana Master. Teamwork makes the dream work, right?
Discover the latest models, innovative technologies, and expert insights from our passionate hosts. Learn essential maintenance tips and get exclusive behind-the-scenes access to the automotive industry. Don't miss My.NA Cars on NTV every Thursday at 2100 hours. Tune in and ignite your passion for automobiles.
Welcome back. Now, if you've just joined us on the show now, we have in studio this evening Ambassador Jerobeam Shaanika from the International Relations Ministry, and we are talking about the 25th Ordinary Meeting of the Ministerial Committee of the SADC organ on politics, defense and security, as well as a number of other multilateral affairs affecting Namibia. Now, Ambassador, we have talked extensively about the conflict in on the continent, and that has been mentioned by the chair of the organ this morning. Can one of the issues that was mentioned and raised as a concern, as a serious concern, by the chair, Honorable Netumbo Nandi-Ndaitwah, was the human trafficking, the trafficking of persons. Can you please share with us how serious this problem is, and does it affect, how does it affect, to what extent is Namibia affected by human trafficking, and how does it manifest, in what type of forms does it occur?
Well, the trafficking in person is a serious concern, not only to the region, it's worldwide. Now, it can manifest in several ways. Some are for labor purposes, particularly between Namibia and Angola, where you have sometimes people take people in Angola to come and work into their cattle post or whatever. Now, sometimes these things is done not in accordance with the law. So then it falls into the category of trafficking in person. Mm-hmm. Then there can also be an instance where people are trafficking for sexual purposes. Mm-hmm. It's also when you are exploiting the condition of a person, not necessarily that this person is consenting, but because of the situation, that situation will force the person to agree to whatever. Those are some of them. But there is a case that I can tell you that also falls under it's called as child abduction. Two parents can have a child, maybe they don't live together. Now, one of these parents cannot take a child out of the country without the consent of another parent. Mm-hmm. If you do that, it will be considered as a child abduction.
How serious is that? Is the case
It's
on
it's a serious case.
child
It's a
abduction?
serious case. I can give you an example of Boris Becker, the tennis player.
Yes.
I think he went to America and he took his children because he was estranged from his wife, Barbara. He's black and Americans. So he went to school and took the children and off to Germany.
But here in Namibia, is that a concern?
It's the same. It's the same.
Is that a concern?
It's a concern, but no, well, it doesn't really happen, but I'm just giving an instance. I know a case where a child was taken from Namibia to Europe.
Can you please give us obviously some of these, your ministry is collecting data on human trafficking. Can you share with us some examples?
Yes, I can give you an example. There was an example of the cases of where people were taken to the Middle East.
From here?
From here.
And how were they taken?
Well, they were under false pretext of job. They were promised a job, but then when they got on the other side, the condition they found was not as they were promised. And then, of course, some of them contacted their family, the ministry was involved, some of them came as a result of the ministry intervention, some of them through their family and so on. These are cases that are real, that sometimes when you exploit a person's condition and you give a false pretext, these are the resultant of human trafficking.
Mm-hmm. Now, Ambassador, Namibia as a country has for long maintained the policy that we are a friend to all and an enemy to none. Yet we see many countries, including South Africa, aligning themselves with certain countries, given the current geopolitical situation. What is Namibia's foreign policy saying on when it comes to issues like this?
Well, Namibia is followed or is guided by the provision of Article 96 of the Constitution, which says adapt to the policy of non-alliance, friendship with all nations, and encouragement of settlement of disputes by peaceful means. However, it does not mean that there are also matter of principle.
Yes.
Matter of principle. And you know that the pursuit of foreign policy is guided by national interest. And every country is pursuing foreign policy based on their national interest.
Mm-hmm.
Now, it will also be naive to look at others pursuing their interests that are also going against your principles. And you just say, okay, this is what, I mean, you also have to stand your ground. I mean, we have over time and again said we believe in self-determination, then that people who are not exercise their right or their inalienable right to self-determination, we stand by them.
Yes.
We also don't believe countries that, like Cuba, that has been, an embargo has been imposed on them because a certain country wants to change their system. We don't think that is the right way, and we will stand and you speak out against those things. Coming to South Africa, South Africa is a sovereign nation, and it can make its own decision based on how it feels that it wants to follow. I know many people have criticized South Africa. It's supposed to follow a policy of non-aligned. It's not supposed to take side. Well, every country has the right to determine its own. You have to have the freedom to act independently. Whom are you offending? And who is not being offended? Why should it be that country in Africa must be expected to behave in a certain way. When certain countries went to Iraq falsely claiming that Iraq was in possession of weapons of mass destruction, and they went to cause havoc, which is even up to now, that country is unstable. Everybody was quiet. So, why is it so? Do they have a right, more right? The Charter of the United Nations is speaking equality of all nations, large and small. So you want now to tell me that there are certain countries who have a right to do what they want and then others should not? South Africa is entitled to pursue its foreign policy as it deems fit.
Speaking about South Africa, we know now, because of the situation that South Africa finds itself in terms of the Ukraine and Russia conflict, we know that President Vladimir Putin is not attending BRICS because of threats that he should be persecuted. So do you think South Africa is handling the situation correctly? You've obviously just made a point right now.
I don't want to speak on behalf of South Africa.
But also,
yes.
and do you anticipate that there's going to be any implications on Namibia?
What implication? What?
As a neighboring country, we have a pact currency, we share a border. We are very closely knit, Namibia and South Africa. If there are sanctions on put on South Africa for having these relations with Russia, do you anticipate?
No. Okay. Now,
implications for Namibia?
Let me put it this way. Yes, if they impose sanctions, of course, it is going to affect us because we have almost like we are intertwined in terms of geographical proximity, in terms of our trade, and in terms of what. And of course, it's a situation that might result in hardship. But as a matter of principle, did South Africa commit a crime? I just want to know. South Africa is a member of BRICS. And every country, and I'm saying I don't want to speak on their behalf.
Yes, of course.
Yeah? South Africa is a sovereign nation. And I believe they have to take a decision as is deemed fit. You don't have to be worried. Now, why should you be imposed sanction when you are acting independently? I'm asking a question. Whom are you offending? Whom does South Africa offend? If it's a member of the BRICS, if BRICS say, sorry, we believe that the dollar is no longer a currency that we want to trade with, so should they be imposed, should the dollar be imposed on member state? Let member state act freely. If it is good, if it is in their interest to use the dollar or to do anything, so it's fine. Let them do so.
In conclusion, the other headache for the West is also the Sino-Africa relations. Can you just talk to us about the highlights or the relationship between Namibia and China?
Well, let me not defend that I'm anti-Western. I'm saying every country or every region or people in the world, they have a right. And when you sign up of the charter, and I have given you one main tenet of our constitutions,
yes,
friendship with all nations.
Yes.
Now, if we have a relation with China, I think it's up to us to ask ourselves, what do we want from China and in our relations? And then at interval, we ask ourselves questions. Are we benefiting, or these people are, the relation is somehow in balance?
Are we benefiting?
No, I'm just asking. These are things that we need to ask ourselves. And I'm not just referring to one country, any country that we have relation with.
But in China in particular, can you just share briefly what the Namibia-China relationship looks like?
Well, the China relationship with Namibia, it is as it is at the moment. We maintain the relationship. We are cooperating within the Forum on China and Africa Cooperation, which is known as FOCAC. There are several projects that China has in Namibia. Those are the issues that are guiding our bilateral relation, and of course, we are also cooperating in the areas of education and others. But I'm just saying that for any country that is cooperating with others, the best question you ask ourselves, you review and you say, if there is an area of the relation that is not good, you review it. And even when you are signing agreement, you sign agreement in a lifetime that you'll be able to say, maybe it's a 5 years agreement. And after that, you review it. If there are loopholes, you close them. Mm-hmm. Where there are benefits, you strengthen them. I think that's how things are supposed to be.
Thank you very much for joining us in the studio this evening.
It was nice having you, and anytime you feel like you want to discuss with me, I will be at your disposal.
Thank you.
And I should also thank to the viewers. Thank you very much.
Thank you for joining us once again. Have a good night.